Bugungi darsimizda Cambridge 7 test 2 passage 1 analizini ko'rib chiqamiz. Tahlilga qarab oling. Why pagodas passage 1 o'z ko'rgazma mana test 2 o'z ko'rgazma why pagodas don't fall down. Bilmayman pagoda nimaligini, mana bunaqa bino bo'lsa kerak. O'sha nimaga fall down, nimaga tushib ketmas ekan, nimaga qulamas ekan. Savollarni ko'ra olamiz. Yes or no given. Tushunarli. Matching information. Tushunarli. Multiple choice questions. Tushunarli, badag'alati, mayli tushunarli. Nima qilishimiz kerak? Har bitta savol turini ko'ra olishimiz kerak-da. Masalan, Japanese, Chinese qisqasi hamma joyda bo'lar ekan demak javob. Mana Japanese bo'ladigan bo'lsa, Chinese bo'ladigan bo'lsa, hamma narsani o'qishimiz kerak. Peshonamiz sho'r ekan. Hamma narsani o'qishimiz kerak. Demak, o'qish uchun nima qilamiz? Paragraflarga bo'la olamiz. Masalan, mana 4 talasini birga o'qiymiz. Keyin mana bu 4 talasini yana 5 talasini yana birga o'qiymiz. Keyin shu ish qilamiz birgalikda hozir. In a land swept by typhoons and shaken by earthquakes, how have Japanese tallest and seemingly flimsiest old buildings, 500 or so wooden pagodas, remained standing for centuries? Record shows that only 2 have collapsed during the past this years. Those that have disappeared were destroyed by fire as a result of lightning or civil war. Disastrous Hanshin earthquake in this year killed these people, toppled elevator highways, flattened office blocks, devastated part area of Kobe, yet it left a magnificent 5-story pagoda at the Toji in nearby unscathed. So it leveled off a number of buildings in the neighborhood. Tushunarli. Hamma joy buzib tashlagan, hamma narsa buzilib ketgan, lekin mana shu o'zi qolgan, buzilmasdan. Japanese scholars have been mystified for ages about why these tall, slender buildings are so stable. Only 30 years ago, the building industry felt confident enough to erect office blocks of steel and reinforced concrete that had more than a dozen floors, with its special shock absorbers to dampen the effects of sudden sideways movements from earthquakes. The 36-story building in central Tokyo, first skyscraper, was considered a masterpiece of modern engineering when it was built this year. Yet in this year, it was only pegs and wedges to keep his wooden structure upright. Master builder had no hesitation in sending his majestic Toji pagoda soaring 55 meters into the sky, nearly half as high as the skyscraper built some 11 centuries later. Clearly, Japanese carpenters of the day knew few tricks about allowing a building to sway and settle itself rather than fight nature's forces. What sorts of tricks? Tushunarli. Multi-story pagoda came to Japan from China. Interesting. As China, they were first introduced by Buddhism, were attached to the important temples. Chinese built their pagodas with brick and stone inner staircases, used them in later centuries mainly as wedge towers. With the pagoda reached Japan, how its architecture was freely adapted to local conditions. They were built less high, typically 5 rather than 9 stories, made mainly of wood, and staircase was dispensed with because Japanese pagoda didn't have any particular practical use but became more of an art object. Surely, because of the typhoons that battered Japan in the summer, Japanese builders learned to extend the eaves of the building further beyond the walls. This prevents rainwater gushing down the walls. Pagodas in Korea have nothing like the overhang that is found on pagodas in Japan. Anaqa narsalar bo'lar ekan, o'sha wall bo'yicha yomg'ir oqmasligi uchun. Xo'p, keling bu qismni tugatdik. Endi savollarga javob berishga harakat qilamiz. Yevording nimasan buncha? Bor o'shatga. Boshim ortma. Boshim o'rtasan. What the heck? Topamiz. Only 2 Japanese pagodas have collapsed in 4,000 years. This when I ko'rgancha in the past 1400 years, only 2 have collapsed. To'g'ri. Interesting. Yeah. Hanshin earthquake 1995 destroyed the pagoda at the Toji temple. 1995 flattened blah blah blah, yet it left magnificent 5-story pagoda in nearby unscathed. Demak, o'qisunda shuncha ish qilgan, hamma joydan musor qilib tashlagan, tep-tekis qilib tashlagan, lekin 5-story pagodani unscathed teginmagan holda qoldirgan ekan. Shuning uchun ham bu no bo'ladi. Destroy qilmagan. Hech narsa bo'lmagan unga. Hech narsa bo'lmagan. Destroy degan so'z unscathed antonim bo'lgani uchun o'shuni ham oldik. Other buildings near Toji Pagoda have been built in the last 30 years. topamiz. Toji pagodaning yonidagi boshqa buildinglar 30 yilda qurilgan. Xo'p, flattened blocks, the number of buildings. It was only 30 years ago. Building industry felt confident enough to erect office blocks of steel roof for constructing more than 1,000 floors. Huh. Yes. O'z ko'rganingizdek, Tojini oldidagi boshqa pagodalar, boshqa buildinglar oxirgi 30 yil ichida qurilgan degan. Mana o'z ko'rganingizdek, toppled elevator highways, office blocks devastated the port area. O'z ko'rganingizdek, mavsumda faqatgina 30 yil oldin odamlar bu shunaqa buildinglar qurishga confident his qilgan o'zini degan. Lekin Toji pagodani oldidagilar emasda. Menimcha not given. Not given bo'lsa true bo'ladi, yes bo'ladi. Not given yoki juda ham weird, strange bo'lib qolsa yes bo'ladi bu. Lekin not given katta ehtimol bilan. Ma'lumot yo'q, Tojini yonidagi binolarni necha yilligi yo'q ma'lumot yo'q, lekin mana bu yerda building industrylarni dozen floorslari, ana 10 qatorligilari 30 yil oldin boshlangan degan. Shuning uchun ham katta ehtimol bilan not given, agar not given bo'lmasa yes bo'ladi. The builders of pagodas knew how to absorb some of the power produced by severe weather conditions. To'g'ri bu, yes bu. 100% yes. Xo'p, qayerda bor bu ma'lumot? Xo'p, mana bilgan deganda ma'lumot borlar. Xo'p, qayerda endi bu? Mana clearly Japanese carpenters of the day knew a few tricks about allowing a building sway and settle itself rather than fight nature's forces. Ana shu javob 4-savolga javobni prove bo'ladi. Xo'p, Japanese Chineselarni o'qidik. Easy interior access to the top. Easy interior access to the top. Ana interiorda analari bor edi. Staircase'lar bor edi. Qani? Mana with inner staircases used them in later centuries mainly watchtowers. Demak bu faqatgina Chinese bo'ladi. Chunki mana Japanese da didn't have any particular use. Or mainly mana staircases were dispensed. Demak staircase'dan kechib olishgan. O'z ko'rganingizdek, Chinese'larda staircase'lar orqali tepaga chiqish imkoniyati bo'lgan, chunki ular watchtower sifatida ishlatgan. Japanese'lar bizga praktически yo'z kerak emas, biz просто uni art forma, uni qarab, wow, zo'r narsa ekan deb ko'rish uchun ishlatamiz deganda faqatgina o'sha uchun ham staircase'lardan kechib olgan. Dispense degani kechib olish degan maqsadda, o'sha uchun ham buni faqatgina only Chinese deb belgilaymiz uni. Keyingisiga o'tamiz. Tiles on eaves. Eve'larda tayyorlari bor ekan. O'qish kerak ekan mana. Use observation post. Use as observation post. Observation post mana watchtower sifatida faqatgina Chinese ishlatgan. Shuning uchun ham B olamiz. Tiles on eaves. Eve'larda tayyorlari bormi? Thailand o'qimadik hozircha. Keyin o'qiymiz. Mana o'qiylikchi. The roof of a Japanese temple building can be made to overhang the side of the structure by 50% and more of the building overall width. For some reason, builders of Japanese pagodas seem to have first increased the weight by choosing to cover this extent. It was not with the porcelain tiles of many. Mana pagodas seem to have first increased. Builders seem to have increased the weight of the choosing the cover. The extent it was not the porcelain tiles of many Chinese pagodas, but it was a much heavier earthenware tiles. Demak, aslida ikkalasida ham tiles bo'lgan ekan. Eve'larda tile bo'lgan ekan, Chinese'larda ham tile bo'lgan ekan, Japanese'larda ham tile bo'lgan ekan. Lekin farqi Chinese'larda porcelain tile, kulol nima bo'ladi? Porcelain bilmayman. Porcelain tile qilgan bo'lsa, Japanese'da earthenware tile bo'lgan ekan. Ishlatgan ekan. O'sha uchun A oldik. Size of eaves up to half the width of the building. Mana up to half 50% overall width of the building. Bu faqat Japanese'da bo'lgan. Chinese'da bo'lmagan. Japanese'da shunaqa crazy odamlar bo'lgani uchun shunaqa ish qilishgan. Crazy people. Original religious purpose. Original religious purpose mana Buddhist. Okay. Yeah, it's like also like they were first introduced with Buddhism, were attached to important temples. Religious purpose. Ikkalasi ham religious purpose bo'lgan. Chinada ham religious purpose bo'lgan. Japanda ham original religious purpose bo'lgan. Keyingi ko'ramiz. Floors fitting loosely over each other. Buni hali o'qimadik. Bir-birini orasida fitting loosely anaqa turgan floorlar. Bilmayman, hali o'qimadik bu narsani. Xo'p, keyingisi mana shin bashira maqsadida bor ekan, o'sha uchun bemalol o'qib ketaveramiz. Rangni o'zgartiraylik birinchi. But this doesn't totally explain the greatest reasons of Japanese pagodas. Okay. So answer like tall pine tree. Japanese pagoda with massive trunk-like central pillar known as Shimbashira simply flexes and sways during typhoon or earthquake. For centuries, but the answer is not so simple, because startling this thing is that Shimbashira actually carries no load at all. In fact, some pagoda's design doesn't even rest on the ground. It's suspended from the top of the pagoda, hanging loosely down through the middle of the building. Oh, the weight of the building is supported entirely by 12 outer and 4 inner columns. Interesting. Shimbashirada qisqasi Japanese bu. Tushuntirishga harakat qilmasammi? Qisqasi men bu nima degan? Nima uchun Japaneselar bunchalik kuchli Shimbashira pillar bo'lgan, unaqa ustun bo'lgan. Shimbashira ushlab turgan deb o'ylagandik, lekin unaqa emas ekan. Shimbashira ushlab turmas ekan, hech qanaqa loadni, mana carry load, mana hech qanaqa og'irlikni carry qilmas ekan. U qaytaga tepadan unaqa qo'yilar ekan, tepadan osiltirib qo'yilar ekan, suspended from the top mana. Shunday hang qilar ekan, shunday osilib turar ekan. Asosan building the weightini, vesini 12 outer and 4 inner columns. Ya'ni kolumnlar nima degani edi? Bu ham ustun. Qisqasi o'sha kolumnlar ushlab turar ekan. Bu C bo'ladi shu uchun. Force fitting loosely over each other. Column bo'ladi shu. Bo'ldi. Endi topamiz. Japanese pagoda Shimbashira bears full weight of the building. No. Umuman weight olmaydi. Mana carries no load degani u qismning savolga javob. Bends under pressure like a tree. Nope. Connects the floor with the foundations. Mana, what is the role of Shimbashira? Mana nima ish qiladi bu? O'qiylik. Mana shu narsani o'qib, birinchi, masalan, uchta savolga javob bor, uchta paragraf qoldi. Birinchi uchta paragraf o'qib olamiz, savolga javob beramiz. Yoki sizlarga o'sha mazmun joyisining savollarini o'rgatish maqsadida birinchi savolni o'qiymiz, keyin savolga javob berishga harakat qilamiz. Xo'p, shu ish qilaylikchi. You're gonna die today. Xo'p, what's the best way to understand the Shimbashira rules is to watch a video made by Shinzo Ishida, blah blah blah, because of his passion to understand Pagoda, has built series of models and test them on shake table in his laboratory, acting like an enormous stationary pendulum. Pendulum craftsmen apparently without the assistance of very advanced mathematics seem to grasp the principles that were more than 1,000 years earlier applied in the construction of Japan's first skyscraper. What those early craftsmen had found by trial and error was that under pressure, a pagoda's loose stack of floors could be made to slither and to independent of one another. Away from the side, pagoda seemed to be doing a snake dance. In opposition to its neighbors and above. Shimbashira running up through a hole in the center of the building, constrained individual stories from moving mana. Shimbashira running up through a hole in the center of the building, constrained individual stories moving too far, because after moving a certain distance they bang it into it, transmitting energy away along the column. Should not leave. They make stops from moving forward like bo'ladi mana. Stops degan constraint synonym. Floors mana individual stories synonym. Moving too far maqsadni bor. Shu bilan bu qismga savolga javob shu bo'ladi. Lekin men rangni o'zgartiramiz ham yoqmaydi hozir bu rang yana. Shuzo Ishida performs experiment in order to ko'rsatish uchun. Shimbashirani qanaqa ishlatishini ko'rsatish uchun. Here Infroscope said nope. Learn about the dynamics of pagodas. Yep. No. That's it. The stories of Japanese pagodas are linked only by wood, fastened only by center pillar, fitted loosely on top of each other, joined by special weight. Linked only va haqida ma'lumot yo'q. Fastened only to central pillar haqida ma'lumot yo'q. Fitted loosely on top of each other haqida ma'lumot bor. Mana bu yerda ma'lumot berilgan. Xo'p, mana they are simply stacked on top of other like a pile of hats. Bular bir-birini ustida shunday qo'yilgan hatga o'xshab. Fitted loosely on top of each other anaqasiga qo'yib ketilgan. Shu bilan bugungi darsimiz o'z nihoyasiga yetadi. Hammaga tushunarli bo'ldi degan umidaman. Agar muammolar bo'ladigan bo'lsa, savollaring bo'ladigan bo'lsa, kommentarda qoldiringlar. Shu bilan darsimiz o'z nihoyasiga yetadi. See you in the next lesson. Bye guys.